Hey, how's your day going today? Today, I want to talk about something that has come up in front of me a few times over the last little while, and that is security logging into the Act CRM software. Now, there's several questions that have come up. One is dual authentication. How do we, or multi-factor authentication? There's a couple of different terms that they use. I think ACT uses multi-factor authentication. There's dual authentication. It means the same thing. It means that there's multiple levels of security logging in, and most of you are all familiar with this because of different other applications that you're using. So we're going to talk about using the login security with the Act software because it does have multifunction or multifunction authentication, and so we want to be able to kind of just walk you through that. So if you didn't know, it's there. And I'm just going to go through the several levels, and just so you're aware of what you can do with the Act CRM software. We'll be working with the desktop version of this, but the web version, if you're using that, also has multi-factor authentication as well. So let's have a look at what this looks like. So again, I'm working with my demo database. We need to always say that just to keep everybody happy at YouTube. And so let's just dive into it. So with ACT, I'm just going to go over to tools, and you have to be an administrator in order to have access to these functions. So if you're not an administrator, then you probably won't be able to get in there and mess around. So I'm going to go over first of all to the user. So the first thing you can do, and I'm just going to pick this login screen for myself. You have a username that it's connected to, and you can have a username or a contact name. Sorry, the username can be whatever you want. It can be Gary Robillard, and that's typically how we set it up. It's usually first name space last name. It can be the first name, it can be the last name, it can be whatever. It can be some alias that you want to put in there. It could even be your email address, and some people do that. So this is your first line of defense: is just putting in a username for you. But how secure is that? Not really that secure. Especially, if somebody knows knows what your login name is. Now, the next level is actually putting a password in. Now, each organization may be a little different on how they want to do this or how they want to manage this. So you'll need to talk to your administrator or people in the administrative part of your team to say, well, how are we doing passwords? And entering a password in after the fact, you may need to change some settings like backup settings and that sort of stuff. So you'll need to be cognizant that if you're going to add a password, there may be some ramifications that you need to kind of just think about before you do this. Especially for those who don't, like when we set up a database, we usually don't put passwords in. We just use first name and last name. But if you're responsible, your username is responsible for doing backups, then you'll want to make sure that your backup setup is set up with whatever new password is that you've used. But there are several settings here. User must change password on next login. You can force people to choose a password. User cannot change password. Maybe you entered in the password so you can track what password each person has. And then password never expires if you want to do that. So you've got some settings you can do. So that's your next level of security, is not just having a specific username, but also adding a password to your login. And again, I'm going to emphasize that if you go and add one because you didn't have one before, that may have some ramifications, specifically to backup and maintenance for your database. So you'll need to be cognizant of that. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to our support team at support@corelogix.ca, and they can give you some instructions if you don't know how to do that. Let's finish that off. So now the next piece here is a multi-factor authentication. So if I go over to tools, and I've got right here MFA, dual authentication is the same thing if you're used to that term. So we're going to just click on here. It's going to pop up this screen. Now, if it's not turned on for everybody or for certain people, the administrator will have to turn it on, and then they can choose who needs to have multi-factor authentication turned on. So I'm going to turn it on just for Gary Robillard. And down here at the bottom, you can choose, how many days To reduce frequency of using this, you can set a number. If you're going to do it every time, just leave it at zero. So if you need to have this multi-factor authentication each time somebody logs into the ACT database, um, then you want to have it at zero. If it becomes annoying that you just want to do it once during the day and then you just want to have it, a couple of times, you may want to change that number. But you can choose what works for you. Then once you've made your selection and changes, you just go update. And now when I close down ACT, I'm going to just close it down, launch back in, and then you'll see what it's going to ask for. Okay, we're here at the login screen, and so we're going to press OK. Now, the first time the user logs in, once the multi-factor authentication is set up, it's going to ask them, hey, um, what is your cell phone number? Now, I've already keyed mine in previously, so it remembers that. So now I've got it in there. Now it's sent to my cell phone number. So there'll be, the first time you use it, it'll be a pop-up screen saying, "Hey, what's your cell phone number?" You'll key that cell phone number in, and then press OK. And then this screen will pop up to say, "Okay, give me the code." So I got the code from my phone. I'm just going to paste it in there. And then I'm just going to go login. Now I'm all logged back in again. Now you'll have to decide when and if multi-factor authentication is right for you. But at least you've got at least the three different levels of login security that you have, and you can test out the multi-factor authentication, see if it works for you. I think because, in my own personal opinion, I don't think it's necessary on the desktop, but you may be taking a laptop with you out and about, and you want multiple layers of security, because usually you're going to have the login security to Microsoft, and then you've got your username and possibly password to get into ACT. Do you need another third level? That's totally up to you, your call. There's no right or wrong. You just choose what's best for you. Hopefully this video has helped. We'll talk to you on the next video, and hope you have a great day. All the best. Bye for now.